Alrighty, let's go ahead and get things started on this October 14th, 2025 Waxhaw Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Please rise for our opening ceremony. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, I think we have some adjustments to tonight's agenda. We will be removing item G1 regarding the Public Art Committee tree carving. Are there any other adjustments, additions, or subtractions to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt tonight's amended agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Alrighty, motion carries. Alrighty, next we would like to recognize October as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is a time when communities across our country come together to increase the awareness about the impact of breast cancer and honor those that we have lost and celebrate the survivors who inspire us with their strength and their courage. Here in Waxhaw, we are proud to have one of our own as a survivor and an example of resilience and hope. Commissioner Wesolek, will you please read for us Proclamation PRO 2025-001 in support of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
Proclamation in support of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas breast cancer touches the lives of Americans from every background and in every community across our nation. Whereas while considerable progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains the most frequently diagnosed type of non-skin cancer and second leading cause of cancer deaths among women. Whereas thousands of women and men will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and tens of thousands of women are expected to lose their lives to the disease. Whereas the exact cause of breast cancer are unknown, understanding its risk factors is essential to prevention. Older women and those who have a personal or family history of breast cancer are among those at greater risk of developing the illness. Early detection is also key in the fight against breast cancer. Getting recommended screening mammograms can help to detect breast cancer early. Women and men are encouraged to speak with their health care provider about breast cancer and to visit www.cancer.gov to learn more about symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment. And whereas this month, we stand with those who have been affected by breast cancer, and we recognize the ongoing efforts of dedicated advocates, researchers, and healthcare providers who strive each day to defeat this terrible disease. In memory of the loved ones we have lost and inspired by the resilience of those living with the disease, let us strengthen our resolve to lead our nation toward a future free from cancer in all its forms. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed Robert J. Murray III, by virtue of the authority vested in him as mayor of the town of Waxhaw in the state of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and urge all citizens to support this observance. I further urge citizens to increase their awareness, education, and importance of early detection of breast cancer, which deeply affects many families in our state each year, and to dedicate themselves to prevention, detection, and treatment of breast cancer. Duly adopted and effective the 14th day of October 2025.
Thank you very much. Never forget the importance of self-examinations, because much of it is found through self-examination. Thank you. Next up is general public comments. General public comments are 3 minutes and meant to be polite in nature. Please direct it to the board as a whole and not an individual. And tonight we have 2 people. Miss Melanie Miller.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melanie Miller. I am a Waxhaw resident, but I'm here tonight as the Executive Director of the Union County Community Arts Council. And our mission at the Arts Council is to cultivate and celebrate the arts so that everyone in the community has the opportunity to experience their benefits. There's lots of different arts celebrations that occur during the year. Last month was Arts and Education Week. Currently, this is Arts and Humanities Month. There's a whole Youth Art Month in the spring. And so as we're entering in, and especially since the school year has been going on for a couple of months now, I just wanted to take the opportunity to really reiterate that the arts are not something that is just extra. They're essential to the local economy and also the education system. Across North Carolina, the nonprofit arts and culture industry generates over $2 billion in economic activity each year. We support nearly 38,000 full-time jobs across the county as a nonprofit arts sector, and return over $400 million in tax revenues to local, state, and federal governments. When you add in both the for-profit arts organizations, the total arts and culture section just in North Carolina contributes more than $22 billion to our state's economy. That's a greater share of GDP than the utility sector and also the transportation sector. Here in Union County, the Arts Council, we invest in arts education, bringing professional artists into classrooms. We conduct the largest and longest running student art show in the county and infuse about $20,000 directly into the hands of Union County public schools and charter schools arts teachers each year. That is through our Arts in Bloom Educator Grant Program, and many of the Waxhaw schools benefit from that each year. And through those programs, it really helps provide those classroom teachers with funding to do projects that wouldn't otherwise be possible within their classroom or school. Research shows that young people who are engaged in the arts are 5 times more likely to graduate from high school and twice as likely to graduate from college. So those types of outcomes are ones that benefit every family and every employer in our county. Creative and arts-related jobs in North Carolina counties are proven to be associated with increased visitor spending, retention and attraction of residents, and rising household incomes, which you obviously see closer to home. This town has such a great support of the arts with your Public Art Commission. We enjoy, as an organization, partnering with town staff, with the Downtown Waxhaw Association, during different events, the America 250 committee. So just wanted to say thank you on behalf of our organization for what you all do as a town to support the arts sector, both nonprofit and for-profit. So as you continue to make your decisions, definitely encourage you to please keep the arts in mind, as you already do, and just want to thank you all for your continued partnership.
Thank you very much. Next up, Elder Edwin Elam.
To every commissioner of the town of Waxhaw, to the town clerk, to the town manager, to the town attorney, and to the town staff, and above all, the taxpaying citizens of the town of Waxhaw, I stand to welcome you, Mr. Town Manager Scott Datson, and we are glad to have you here. Any changes toward the direction of best practices for all citizens made by you would be welcomed. Those audited by me daily inside this jurisdiction, and some outside of this jurisdiction, good job. Going forward, the things brought to me by citizens, those who do not trust this process that claim to be equal under the law, and where best judgment and best practices have been checked in 3 categories: biased, lying, and unethically crooked, will all be brought to your attention, past, present, and future. I do have proof of more than $12,000, the unethically crooked, spent in the 2019 Board of Commissioners and wiped out under the rug. Those are now, and who are serving now and who are unaware of this until we requested a FOIA document, and there it was. Watching the town budget public hearings in July, August, and September of 2025, this was a valuable impact as to what's happening here, and it's all on tape. I am going to put into the public record a criminal offense that I would like for you, as the role of town manager, to know what you are dealing with, where some, while in public office, conspired with malicious intent and filed false police reports. How does that happen, sir, on anyone's watch? It cannot happen on your watch. Follow the North Carolina state statutes. We are asking you for nothing special. We're just asking you to know what biased, lying, and unethically crooked is, and I challenge you to do better. As I take my seat, some may say that we have a planning department. Some of us can't tell, really. We can encourage you to simply just be decent on your jobs and use the blinded glasses that show no peeking, and to treat everyone the same. Fire those that don't. I am calling for no bias against any citizen. There is evidence of mail fraud, and these are not going away. Every jurisdiction is on notice, and the crooked judge in Union County, we all know his name in the case that he even presided over. Enjoy your stay, Mr. Town Manager, and the board. I have always been balanced in the observations of this board as a citizen in all of this, but I am exposing the bias, the lying, and the unethically crooked who say that they serve our children. They don't mean our children. I have a trained ear, and I know Shinola. Some of these elected officials are not trying to sell anything but Shinola. Thank you for your time.
All righty. Next up is the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Consent agenda is now approved. Next up, we have recognitions. The very honorable Todd Matthews. We have a very special recognition tonight. It's not that big a number.
Good evening, everyone. We're here tonight to represent or to thank Matt for his 20 years of service. Matt started in 2005, October the 3rd. In 2009, the engineer left, and a part-time engineer come up to me and asked me, could we take over the street inspection department? So I thought about it a little bit, and I asked Matt, I said, what do you think? And Matt said, well, if we can't do it, we can't work here. So we took on that, and Matt has really knocked it out of the park. He is good with the developers. He listens to them. When he don't agree with them, he still listens, and he talks them into doing it the way it's supposed to be done. He's helped with stormwater inspection. He runs the camera, stormwater camera. One time when Chris Rice became erosion control, Matt went to school. He's level 1 and level 2 certified because he was going to step into that position. Luckily, he didn't. He stayed with us at Public Service. He's worked with planning department, the county arborist on tree types going into planting strips because we're getting too big of trees in the planting strips. He has his pesticide license. I had to take notes because he's done so much. Matt's always been there for me, been there for the town, been there for the staff. He's always tried to help us, me and all the town citizens. He works well with everyone. He became a crew leader. Normally when you take someone in your team to be in charge of the guys that he's been working for, sometimes the feathers get rough. Not this case. Everybody just listened to him, worked well with him. So he moved up to Assistant Public Service Director. So I think Matt has done a great job for the town. He works hard for it. He tries to help everyone. So I'd just like to thank you for his 20 years of service.
Thank you, sir. I'd just like to thank the town for the opportunity to serve for the past 20 years, and like to thank the citizens also, and more excited now about my job than I've ever been. And I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
And Susanna, you're like this. He went 12 years and never missed a day of school.
You know, I like that. Perfect attendance.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Well, thank you for your hard work and dedication. You definitely set the standard, Matt. All righty then. What's next? Ms. Ashley Knoll, update on the master plan feedback we've been getting.
Hi, guys. So I am Ashley Knoll. I'm the Business Development Director for the town of Waxhaw, and it will actually be the next one since we're not doing the Public Art Committee item tonight. Here we go. So my department has been the lead on the Downtown Master Plan project. We were asked to get some additional public input on our draft, so we'll be sharing that public input tonight with you guys. Just a reminder of the Downtown Waxhaw vision statement. It's downtown Waxhaw, with its small town charm, is the cultural and economic center of the community. It is a premier destination to experience genuine craftsmanship, create shared memories, and build economic opportunities. A Downtown Master Plan, this project that we've been working on, is really set to be a roadmap for our downtown over the next 5 to 10 years. It'll help leaders, property owners, business owners to make smart and coordinated decisions. It emphasizes partnerships, grants, and incremental investment. So these projects aren't all publicly funded. They are public-private partnerships with our different community partners. And it aligns the community vision for downtown. And it sets clear guidelines for priorities for downtown improvements. This matters because without a plan, change happens without direction. When we have a plan for downtown, we can protect what we love. We can protect our downtown while advocating for what it needs. It's not about changing who we are as downtown Waxhaw. It's about protecting what makes us special while preparing for the future in a responsible, balanced, and sustainable way. And this is a project we've been working on for a little over 2 years. In August of 2023, our Downtown Waxhaw Association met with the North Carolina Main Street Center and Department of Commerce, and we held a strategy session. And through that session, we really talked about how the next phase for downtown Waxhaw would be to complete a downtown master plan to really get the community's input on what they wanted to see downtown moving forward. In January 2024, this board prioritized the plan in their capital improvement budget for FY25. In last fall, about a year ago, we released our RFQs and conducted interviews and ultimately selected Boudreaux as our consulting partner. And we kicked off the project early this year with several site visits with the consultants, and also had a steering committee of DWA board members, property owners, business owners, and town staff. Back in March, we held a 3-day charrette with the Boudreaux team, which included both evening and morning public input sessions, a public discussion between the board and the DWA board, a review of the presentation, and public input discussion. And then we had several focus groups that included arts and culture, history, entrepreneurship, property owners, education, and career and technical ed students. We also did some public input in the spring at the Kaleidoscope Festival, and then held an online survey in partnership with the Safety Action Plan team. In June, we held a couple more focus groups with downtown restaurant owners over food trucks, as well as with some young professionals. And the consulting team brought us back a draft master plan in August, and we reviewed the draft master plan with the board and the Downtown Waxhaw Association board in mid-August, as well as had a public input review session the following morning. And we included an online review of the draft plan at that time and had a survey that was open for 2 weeks. Just a reminder on the scope of the plan. The scope of the plan as set by the board was to determine where to put new businesses, where to put parking to support those new and existing businesses, and then how to determine how to connect people to both those new businesses and new parking. Through the public input that we've received, the consultants did provide these guiding principles. This is what we would measure development and infill in our downtown area by. Preserving Waxhaw's small town charm and scale, fostering a pleasant and navigable downtown experience, creating spaces for all ages to play, explore, and connect, and then strengthening downtown as a vibrant social and local destination, as well as growing thoughtfully and equitably with community at the center. So as we conducted additional input in October, these are the input sessions that we held. So we had a session on Monday, October 6th from 5 to 7 at the McDonald House. We held another one on Thursday, October 9th from 8 to 10 a.m. at the McDonald House. We popped up at the Autumn Treasures Festival on Saturday. We also held an online survey that was open until Sunday evening. And then we surprised a flash vote survey on parking. What's really great about those is there's not warning for them, so we get really accurate information from the public. We communicated all of these input through the Downtown Waxhaw Association and Town of Waxhaw owned channels, including social media, newsletters, and the Waxhaw Connect app. Additionally, we shared printed flyers with our downtown businesses so they could put those up in their windows. We also included it in weekly business emails. And then knowing that our business owners and property owners aren't always going to be able to attend these meetings, we prominently shared the information for the online survey in those flyers, as well as on our private merchant site and in our weekly text messages to them. We even bumped up our downtown walks to gather some additional input in person, knowing that people may not be able to attend these sessions when we had them scheduled. So our input session that we had on Monday, October 6th, we had great turnout. We had 35 people. You can imagine that was packed in the Duncan McDonald House. We had a smaller crowd on Thursday, October 9th. We had about 8, including our town staff. And we talked to hundreds of people at the Autumn Treasures Festival at downtown on Saturday. It was a really great turnout, a really great way to get feedback from the public. We, for these sessions, printed the big vision map that the consultants created, as well as big maps of each of the 3 infill opportunity sites, and printed implementation strategies for any of the attendees to take home and review on their own. We also had flyers with the QR codes that went back to the downtown website where the survey was housed. On last week during our sessions at the McDonald House and then on Saturday, we asked people about their favorite thing about downtown Waxhaw. This was one of my favorite activities to do in public input because it gets people really thinking about what our assets are in downtown. We got a lot of answers. You're welcome to zoom in on this when you get some time to see what everyone loves about downtown. We got lots of different answers from everyone's favorite restaurant to favorite meals to specific ice creams at the creamery, as well as shops, events that our Parks and Rec team puts on, as well as the new park space that we put together. We also asked about what downtown Waxhaw needs. In this, we got all kinds of different answers from different types of businesses to connectivity improvements that are needed, as well as the common nothing. Downtown Waxhaw doesn't need anything, don't change it. The comments that we received in both of the public input sessions at the McDonald House, as well as the input sessions at Autumn Treasures, really echoed the discussions that we had in March at that input. The biggest concerns that people had were parking, congestion, and there's a big concern about growth and maintaining the historic charm in downtown amidst that growth. And then more businesses and more things to do, more entertainment activities. In the draft plan survey, this was the one that was opened in August for 2 weeks, and then we reopened it for this round as well. We got 60 total responses. 47 of those were Waxhaw residents, so that's 78% of our responses. Primary concerns in the survey echoed what I just mentioned: traffic, parking, preserving the charm, and connectivity. In your packet, in the public packet, include the full survey results from the spring survey back in March, as well, or back in the April and May, as well as the full October survey results. As I mentioned, we additionally did a flash vote survey. I didn't include all 5 questions for you here, but I did highlight a couple for you. This is the where and when do respondents park downtown. more than half of our respondents, 51%, said that they try to park on the street first. We also had a lot of people that park after 5. That seems to be one of our most popular times. We also asked how to improve parking. Our top response with 51% was more gravel or paid parking. Our second was more sidewalks and crosswalks. The third highest was make it easier to cross 1675 and the train tracks. Our fourth highest was the parking garage, and then our fifth highest was improving our signage for parking downtown. What's interesting about these results is it truly echoes the responses, or it truly echoes the timeline that was recommended in the downtown master plan by the consultants, taking care of adding parking and improving accessibility first. That's ultimately our first priority in downtown. And then any sort of structured parking or garage is something that would come much later. And that matches this priority that the survey respondents had. So in reviewing the input, I had a few changes that I think that we should make, but I would love to hear what the board thinks as well. So I think we should update the triangle lot infill page to include parking lot capacity for several different parking options. The triangle lot on the north side of downtown is a great location for additional parking. That doesn't mean it needs to be a parking deck. So providing capacity and a massing study for what a surface parking lot looks like, what a 2-level parking deck looks like with entrances on both 16 and North Church, or what a 3-level deck could be, just providing those options. And then ultimately saying that parking, any sort of parking that goes in that site needs to fit with the scale and charm and character of downtown. Additionally, through a lot of our input conversations and conversations with engineering and public services, we've identified some additional locations for parking, and I think that's important for us to highlight in the plan as well. This is a list here of places that we have identified just over the last month, but I think that there could be others. So including West North Main, South Broome, South Caldwell, West and East Price, all as places where we could add additional parking spaces with a pretty quick turnaround. Also, like I mentioned, the biggest concern that we heard in feedback is congestion and traffic. And while a downtown master plan isn't going to solve traffic problems, it is important to include context that the downtown master plan needs to talk effectively with the safety action plan and the master transportation plan, and that those are really what's going to solve and help provide solutions for that congestion and traffic problem. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have or hear any other recommended changes that you guys may have heard from feedback.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, I thought the input sessions were great. The first one, like you said, it was packed, and I think that's where we got a lot of feedback. And like you said, the 2-level deck, from what I was gathering, seems more attainable in the shorter term, but in the long-term plan. But that accessible parking in the short term, with the ideas that staff had brought forward that you discussed a while back in all your surveys, I think that would help maintain the charm, not a parking deck. And when I think of small town, I don't think of parking deck. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was useful. I think people were happy to come down. I know I still need some time to digest it because I wasn't able to see on my computer the input. I don't know, it was a little fragmented. I don't know if anybody else had that.
I'd be happy to send out so I attached them as Excel spreadsheets, but they may not have translated over. I'm happy to email them
if that would
to
be,
you.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
If you're going to email them, convert it into a PDF at this point, because I don't currently have Office Suite yet. So I'm still working on that.
I'll see what I can do.
If it works out okay, I don't know. I'm going to get it soon, so it's not a huge deal.
Perfect, yeah. Yeah, I will send out the Excel and PDFs for the original spring survey. as well as the fall survey and the flash vote responses. So you have all of those.
So do you think at that time, then, next meeting, we'll be able to have a vote on the master plan?
Probably not. I'm still trying to digest it. Commissioner Wedra has expressed the need to digest it a little bit further as well. What? Sorry?
So you need more than 2 weeks to,
Yeah. I mean, it's an important document to read and understand carefully, so we're taking the time to read and understand it carefully. All righty.
Okay.
Thank you, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Next up, Mr. James Kelly.
Well, good evening, Board. James Kelly, Traffic and Transportation Engineer, and I'm joined with Nat Hayward. He's our consultant that has been helping us along with Kimley Horn. So tonight we are presenting for your consideration, the adoption of our Safe Streets and Roads for All, or SS4A, Safety Action Plan. From a high level, and Nat's going to dive deeper into this, the Waxhaw Safety Action Plan is our town's foundational document for improving roadway and multimodal safety. The plan identifies road segments in Waxhaw that are most in need of safety improvements, and then from there, a list of prioritized projects was identified, along with a list of strategies that included definable actions and performance measures to track transportation safety progress over time. And I just want to give special thanks to all of our members on the task force, from the residents that helped us along the way the past several months, from the interdepartmental contacts that we have between all of our departments here at Waxhaw, with our partners with NCDOT and CRTPO, and of course, special thanks to our two commissioners that served on this task force, Commissioner Wedra and Commissioner Wesolek. So with that, I'll pass it over to Nat, and Nat, here you go.
Thank you. Good evening. Good to see all of you again. James did a good job teeing us up. What I want to do today is kind of walk you all through at a really high level the purpose for this plan, the process for getting there, and then what's within the plan itself before we look at approving it. So I'm going to kind of hit on some of the main beats and recommendations of the plan at a higher level, but certainly if we want to go much into some of the details, we need to look at the plan itself and be here a lot longer. Start off with the purpose, and I think to understand the purpose of the plan, it's important to understand how we got to this process. And it starts with the Safe Streets and Roads for All funding program. This is titled SS4A in short. It's a federal funding program that provides money for municipalities, public agencies across the country to plan for, implement, design, and build construction, transportation projects that improve safety on our streets. It's a really simple mission, and it's a big pot of money. It's about $5 billion over 5 years. The program started in 2022, and it'll run through next year. And there's two parts of the grant process. There's the planning and demonstration part of the grant process, which provides some funding to actually create a transportation safety action plan. And then there's the implementation side of the process, which provides a lot more money to actually design, build, and construct these transportation safety projects. The catch is that in order to apply for and obtain implementation funds, which are the bigger pot of money, you need a plan in place first. And so the process allows for you to apply for funds to get money to do the plan and set up yourself for implementation funds in a subsequent cycle. And so our goal, when we worked with the town on the initial application phase, and then to do the plan, the goal being that the town would have the opportunity to submit for implementation funds in the 2026 cycle next year coming up. So in order to do that, there's some required things we need to have as a part of our safety action plan process. You can see those listed here. The plan needs to be formally adopted, needs to be guided by some kind of task force or steering committee. James already referenced that group. We'll talk more about that here as well. Initially, when at the time of Waxhaw's grant receiving, the plan needed to consider equity. That has changed with the administration turnover, but at the time of Waxhaw's receiving the grant, that was a requirement. The plan needs to identify specific projects that would improve transportation safety. It needs to be informed by community engagement, and it needs to contain an adopted safety target. And we'll talk about that as well. So at a really high level, the purpose for the plan beyond those specifics is to create a shared vision for transportation safety in the community, one that the public, staff, elected officials can all get behind. It needs to provide specific kind of guidance for investment. That means prioritizing our investments. It's one thing just to identify what those things are. We also need to make sure that the plan gives the town the tool to actually know what to implement first as they move through that process. And then ultimately needs to be actionable, can't just sit on a shelf, needs to be able to be used by staff, by the public, by elected officials to make defensible decisions about transportation safety in the community. So I want to talk a little bit about our engagement. I'm going to touch on this at a really high level. It's noted much more detailed in the plan itself. But we had a really robust and thorough engagement process. I know I was really pleased with the quantity and quality of feedback that we received from the public, and we provided lots of opportunities for folks to plug into the process. And so we sort of had a 3-phase public engagement process. That first phase in the spring was all about understanding people's kind of needs or perceptions of safety in the community already. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities for improvement? It's really just us doing a lot of listening, right? That second phase is all about putting some draft recommendations in front of folks and letting them vet those and review those, and then actually review the safety action plan itself and the projects and policies within. And all along the way, we had our process guided really closely by the Waxhaw Safety Action Task Force. And what you can see here is a list of all those members on the group. I know James already called out some folks in particular. I want to say again, Commissioner Wesolek, Commissioner Wesolek, thank you guys for being on the task force and all the great participation. Several people in this room are here that were great members of our group. James mentioned a lot of interagency coordination you can see on there as well, which only makes for a more robust and thoughtful conversation as we move through the process. I could say we've done this work in a lot of places. This was probably one of the most engaged task force kind of steering committee groups that we had. We got a lot out of our participation, collaboration with that group, and so we're really appreciative of that. So what's in the plan itself? You can see sort of a high-level breakdown here of the chapters within the plan. We'll touch on some of these here in a moment. Starts out with a simple introduction. Second chapter is what we call our state of safety. This is essentially our existing conditions analysis, right? What does the data tell us about what the needs are within the community as it relates to transportation safety? Where are opportunities we can improve? Where are there factors, causations that give us a better understanding about where improvements might be needed in the future? We summarize all of our engagement within the plan, and then we pull together a high injury network, which I'll talk about here in a moment, and then the actual recommendations, the projects, the prioritization, and the actions that make up the plan itself. So, like I said, key elements of the plan, these are essentially the 3 buckets that our recommendations fall into. And so there's projects, these are, in part of this plan and process, these are lines on a map, right? These are the corridors in our community, the intersections that we know need some kind of improvement to fix a safety issue along that particular corridor. The plan includes prioritization of those projects to know which ones are our highest kind of priority projects that help address our biggest needs. And then we have specific kind of actions and strategies. Think of this as the policy that sort of drives the plan. These are all the things that don't manifest themselves as the lines on a map, but the projects on the ground. So this process kind of starts with developing our high injury network. And this is a common tool used in safety action plans across the country. And the idea here is that we use specific crash data, and we focus heavily on what's called FSI crashes. These are fatal and serious injury crashes, to understand which corridor segments in our community have the highest need for safety improvements. And This is meant to act as sort of a living network that gets updated on some regular annual or biannual process as new crashes occur and new data is inputted, and is essentially can kind of be used as an eligibility tool for determining which projects we need to focus on as a part of the plan. And I'll talk about how we did that here in a moment. And you can see here kind of a quantitative breakdown of how we categorized and scored each segment within the community, again, based on that crash data. So using our high injury network, we then want to actually identify the projects within the plan. So that's really a 5-step process that begins with developing the high injury network itself. Talked about that already. And after that, we take an inventory of projects we already know are out there. We're not here to recreate the wheel. There's been great planning, transportation planning that's been done at the local level, at the regional level, that we can leverage and pull forward. And so we take all of those kind of known pipeline projects, and then we essentially overlay those projects along our high injury network. And any project that doesn't fall on our high injury network, we essentially remove from this plan. Doesn't mean it can't be considered for, it doesn't have other benefits within the, for transportation, but as it relates to this plan, if it doesn't fall on our high injury network, we didn't include it in the plan itself. And after that, you can start to see that we have some gaps of our high injury network that aren't shown. Those are all those places in yellow and red there. And so we identify those gaps. You can see that there in the light green. And then we essentially identify new projects that would cover those gaps. And so what we're left with here is essentially a network of projects that we know address our highest needs for safety in the community. And then we segment all those projects out to actually create project extents. And then we actually prioritize those projects. And so we worked with our task force to identify these 5 high-level categories. And these are actually consistent with our previously identified goals within the plan itself. And we identified specific criteria within each of those 5 goal areas that we knew we could measure. So for connectivity, it's things like connections to our key destinations. For implementation funding, it's about the potential impact on right-of-way and the cost that might be associated with those things. And so we actually go through and score each project individually based on the identified criteria, and then we weight the score for each category with those percentages you see there. We worked with our task force to develop those scores, or those weighting scores there. And finally, we have a set of kind of high-level policies and more specific actions that drive the plan. And so, like our prioritization process, we used our goals as organizing themes for the plan. We do the same thing for policy. And so for connectivity, we have a specific policy that's supported by a bunch of specific actions. You can see that policy here listed on the screen. Too many actions to list on all these slides, but they're within the plan itself. Each policy is supported by a number of specific actions. So a policy for connectivity, policy for multimodal design, policy and actions for vehicular design, implementation and funding, community context, as well as safety culture. I know that's a really quick, high-level overview, a lot to kind of take in. Happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just one. Thank you for the work you put into this, by the way. It's really a worthy project. I love the overlays with prioritizing the transportation projects and everything. I was just curious about I noticed the greenways got inventoried related to safety. I'm a bit mystified how that connects,
Yeah, so it's a great question. Greenways are much safer transportation mode facilities than sidewalks or paths that are right along a road. And so where we've got greenways that are off-road or they're trails, or we've got greenways that are separated from our road by 10 feet of planting or something like that, what that does is that separates our bikers, our walkers from traffic, and which greatly increases their chance of A, not being involved in an accident, or B, being involved in a much less serious accident in that case. And so it is typical to inventory bike and pedestrian facilities as well during these processes just for that reason.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Excellent.
I was also wondering, would this plan potentially allow us to demand more traffic mitigations from developers?
Can you repeat that question in a slightly different way, make sure I understand?
Does it have the potential for us to be able to demand more traffic mitigations from developers or have more force behind?
Yes. You're saying to mine more developments? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that word. To mine?
Demand.
Oh, demand.
Sorry.
Okay, I see. Gotcha.
Demand.
Yes, I understand. My apologies. Yes, absolutely. So the plan does is it provides more teeth essentially to the staff that work with developers, to you all, to say this, to point to the plan, to say this is our vision. These are the projects within our community that we know help us improve safety the most. And if it's along future development, you should absolutely use that as a tool for those kind of negotiations. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Excellent. Anything else? Nope. All righty. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Next up is we have a motion. So can I get a motion to adopt the Safe Streets for All Road and Safe Streets and Roads for All Action Plan?
Motion to adopt the Town of Waxhaw Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4A Safety Action Plan as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you. And I have one more piece to go along with this. So this is part of the federal requirements. It's a commitment from you all, the Board of Commissioners, to commit the town of Waxhaw to Vision Zero. So this is just a proposed resolution for your consideration tonight that is part of the federal requirements. So I will just read this into the record. It's also included within your agenda packet. So this is a resolution, RES 2025-025, resolution committing the town of Waxhaw to Vision Zero. So whereas between 2020 and 2024, there were approximately 1,780 reported crashes in Waxhaw, North Carolina, resulting in 23 fatal and serious injury, or FSI, crashes. So whereas crashes involving a bicycle had a 50% chance of resulting in one of these FSI crashes, where crashes involving a motorcycle had a 28.6% chance of resulting in an FSI crash, and whereas crashes involving a pedestrian had an 18.8% chance of resulting in a fatal or serious injury crash. Whereas a third of all crashes involving a pedestrian occurred along the South Main Street, or NC-75, and North Broome Street, or NC-16 corridors in the downtown Waxhaw area. And whereas Waxhaw's most vulnerable transportation users are typically not in vehicles, and bicyclists, motorcyclists, and pedestrians are more likely to be killed or severely injured in a crash. Whereas most crashes occur at high-volume intersections like those around downtown, areas along Providence Road, Cuthbertson Road, Gray Byram Road, and Bonds Grove Church Road. Whereas intersections with high FSI crash rates most often occur where there are design challenges and higher approach speeds. Whereas when normalized to account for traffic volumes, corridors of higher FSI crashes tend to be along more rural roads like Waxhaw Marvin Road, Rehoboth Road, Waxhaw Indian Trail Road, and Old Waxhaw Monroe Road. While fewer people travel these corridors when compared to NC-16, higher speeds and design challenges make them less safe for users. Whereas the life and health of all people living and traveling within the town of Waxhaw are our utmost priority, and no one should die or be severely injured while traveling our streets. Whereas traffic deaths and serious injuries on our roadways are unacceptable. And whereas the town's transportation infrastructure serves as an increasing number of vulnerable road users, such as bicyclists, motorcycles, and pedestrians, and whereas Vision Zero is the commitment to reduce traffic deaths to zero and increase roadway safety using a safe systems approach. And whereas according to the United States Department of Transportation, or USDOT, Federal Highway Administration, the safe systems approach was founded on the public health principles that humans make mistakes and that human bodies have limited ability to tolerate crash impacts. Whereas applying the safe system approach involves anticipating human mistakes by designing and managing road infrastructure to keep the risk of a mistake low, and when a mistake leads to a crash, the impact on the human body does not result in a fatality or severe injury. Whereas there are 6 principles that form the basis of the safe system approach, those being deaths and serious injuries are unacceptable, humans make mistakes, humans are vulnerable, responsibility is shared, safety is proactive, and redundancy is crucial. Whereas the safe systems approach requires supporting a safety culture that places safety first and foremost in road system investment decisions and to achieve a zero-death vision. Everyone must accept that fatalities and serious injuries are unacceptable and preventable. Whereas Vision Zero recognizes that people will sometimes make mistakes, so the road system and related policies should be designed to ensure that those inevitable mistakes do not result in severe injuries or fatalities, and therefore transportation planners, engineers, police, and policymakers are expected to improve the roadway environment, policies, and other related systems to lessen the severity of crashes. Whereas streets and transportation systems have traditionally been designed primarily to move cars efficiently, and Vision Zero supports a paradigm shift by designing streets and transportation systems to move all people safely, including people of all ages and abilities, bicyclists, motorcyclists, and pedestrians, as well as drivers and passengers of motor vehicles. Whereas successful Vision Zero programs are a result of both a complete government approach, i.e. interdepartmental coordinated initiatives, and community support of Vision Zero objectives and action plans. Whereas making a commitment to zero traffic deaths means addressing all aspects of safety through the 5 safe system elements that together create a holistic approach with layers of protection for road users. Those elements being safe road users, safe vehicles, safe speeds, safe roads, and post-crash care. Whereas this resolution reflects the formal commitment to end traffic deaths and severe injuries in the town of Waxhaw, North Carolina, whereas the town of Waxhaw seeks to provide a safe, accessible, multimodal transportation system for all road users in this area, and whereas Vision Zero Waxhaw provides an additional framework for reducing traffic deaths and serious injuries to zero. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the town of Waxhaw, North Carolina, hereby acknowledge that traffic deaths and severe injuries are preventable and therefore unacceptable on our roadways, and do hereby adopt and support the U.S. DOT Federal Highway Administration Safe Systems Approach and the North Carolina Vision Zero Initiative, and commit to the following. 1, the town of Waxhaw commits to eliminating all fatal crashes with a 50% reduction in severe injury crashes by 2035. And 2, the town of Waxhaw commits to eliminating all fatal and severe injury or FSI crashes by 2045. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Everybody okay with the wording? All righty. Can I get a motion then to adopt Resolution RES 2025-025?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries. Thank you, James. Next up, Mr. Scott Dadson.
Mayor, Board of Commissioners, you have in front of you a question to be posed. We have been approached by a cell tower company that would like to do 2 things. 1, apply and go through an application process for a special use permit. And secondly, to then later on or at a separate and in a separate action, negotiate with the town on a potential use of that property. So, the property in question is off of Kensington Drive. It is between the county's wastewater treatment facility and the Harris Teeter. That's always an interesting thing. That piece of property is between a food store and the wastewater plant. So there you go. but it's off of Kensington. It's actually currently used as our composting site. Is everyone familiar with that on the board? Okay. So the question really in front of you tonight is not about the details of how that application process works. That is a defined by North Carolina general statute process to go through a special use where you folks would serve as the quasi-judicial board in that case. So you would need to decide that fairly and openly, and it is a open and quasi-judicial process. Secondly, you're the owner of that piece of property, so at a separate and in a separate action, you would need to deal with the conditions of how you may lease that piece of property. And that is also statutorily defined in the state of North Carolina. So because you own it, we told the owners we would come here and ask if you were interested in going through that process. Not for a decision, yay or nay, not for the specifics of any terms, but just whether you're interested in allowing them to go through that process at this time. I know that sounds rather odd, but that is kind of where you folks are at. You're the owners of that piece of property, representing the public. And then secondly, you're also the quasi-judicial board that runs that process. So between Matt and myself, we're going to try to answer any questions you folks may have.
Well, for me, it's a no. I mean, it's a cell phone tower. It's 200 feet tall. I've done a little bit of research. The verdict's still out on potential contamination of soil, and there have been some studies on radiation affecting animals in the area, and there are also questions in the end on, I took some notes, on when the lease is up. There's research out there about abandonment, restoring the site, and that sometimes falls on the landowner, which would have been us, to clean that up. There's just too many variables. We get self-service around here. I don't know anybody who says they don't, and so I don't think it's something that it's too much of a risk as far as I'm concerned.
Do we have any type of slides to show us on this as far as?
Not at this time. What we have is just that piece of property in there. So you're not debating location on that piece of property right now. You're not debating any of those matters right now. Just whether they would go through that process and then present evidence in that process, whether they should receive that application or not.
Let me just jump in quickly and just kind of help with this as well. They're always allowed to choose to go through the process. They can submit an application for a special use permit. You are the board under your rules that would hear that. You would sit in a quasi-judicial function. It would be an evidentiary hearing, and you would be required to come as an impartial, unbiased fact finder, hearing the presentation of the evidence that they would present at that hearing. The question tonight is simply, because they're just trying to get an appetite to consider that in an impartial, unbiased manner, to hear them out, to go through the evidence that they may present, that it's a quasi-judicial function, so anyone else with standing would be able to also present. They're wanting to know, is that something that you may entertain and consider, or is leasing town land for such a project just something that you're not interested in, period?
That's right.
That's it. And so, as Scott said, state law does allow it. It is permitted under state law for this particular use. There are parameters to it. There is a process to it. So there are limits for the lease term. There are public-facing procedures for that to go through. All of that would be in place. All of that would follow that course. The first step, though, would be coming for a special use permit hearing before you. And they're just trying to understand, is that something that the board is open to?
My concerns are safe radius around it. It's right next to Curitan, and 200 feet is pretty tall. Could be a bit of an eyesore.
For me, it would be a no.
Yeah, my only questions were where, I understand you say it's on that particular property, but I know that we had some ideas for potential uses of parkland near that, so how that would affect that. That property is kind of a hill, like elevated? So would this be like on top of the hill? And so you're talking even that much higher, so much more noticeable? And so those were kind of the questions I had, but.
Those are good concerns to raise. Anything, Commissioner McMillan?
I'm a no.
Any thoughts, Commissioner Hall?
It's a no for me.
Okay. I think that kind of speaks for the entirety of the board at this point. It sounds like there's a lot of reservations about this type of project in this location for this town. So thank you for bringing this forward, and we have considered it, and it's not looking very positive at this point, so thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I think I'm your next guest, too.
All righty. Leadership reports. Yeah.
Look at that.
Lee's Tower, yeah, leadership reports.
Can you pull up the,
Oh, he's got slides today.
well, I got slides, yeah, kind of exciting. So in front of you folks is the finance report at the end of September, or the end of your first quarter of the year. So I wanted to point out a couple things. I'm sorry this is as dry as it gets, but we'll try to get you folks through it. So here's your basic numbers, and let me see if I can explain this well. Number one, this is unaudited. So everybody needs to understand these are not audited numbers at this point in time in the process. We're in the middle of auditing the 24-25 fiscal year. When those numbers become finalized, we readjust our numbers back again from there, especially as it affects this section up here, which is cash on hand. So in your report, you have two. You have a financial dashboard. Then the second piece of information you have is your cash and investments. The number regarding your cash on hand is here, $31,940,351. Your target at about at the end of the first quarter is 25%. And the reason we can target that is because we use modified accrual accounting, which essentially means that you will either receive or spend over that fiscal period. So you may have the money, may not, but in North Carolina, that cash on hand, the other term of art that you'll use is fund balance, cash reserves, those kinds of things. I'm calling it cash on hand here to let you know that in your report, which is a status report, it's not a trending report, is where your money is right now, because the next set of numbers are where you're at. So your budget for revenues at $25,869,173 is matched by your expenditures at the same amount. In your revenue of this total $25 million, you have received in the general fund, or your largest fund. We don't have a utility fund. We have special funds, but we don't really have anything outside of our large general fund. You have received about 10%, or $2.539 million to date. In your expenditure side, you've spent $6.5 million. Now, that doesn't concern me because your cash on hand is healthy. That's why one of the reasons the state requires a local municipality to have a fund balance. And it's in your financial reports every year in the audit, and it's actually a requirement of state law. And the reason that is there is because of the low amount of cash flow that you have as a municipality between the start of your fiscal year and now. We receive our monies in two different ways. So I've put those numbers up here too. The county collects, and those are your property taxes and that kind of money, around $13,692,000. To date, they've collected about 5%, or $691,000. The reason that's important is the majority of tax bills, while they've gone out, are not paid for until the second quarter of your year. Most people, if you have a mortgage, are paying escrow, and in that escrow are your taxes, and that's where they would come out. So your county taxes and your municipal taxes would come out there, or fire district taxes if you live out in the county as well. So you have that received now. The majority of those monies will start to come in the second quarter. The state collects, and this number is wrong, I apologize for that. It is not 95 million, it's $9.5 million of your revenues. That's your sales tax, your franchise taxes. When you go to the DMV and up your plates, they're collecting that then. They have an arrangement with the county. Those monies are more steady. They come in more often on a monthly basis. And that process at the DMV works pretty well. And I think everybody can laugh with great humor at that, who's been to the DMV lately. It's taken me 3 months to get my plates, so I'm just letting you know that now. But that was true in Oregon too, so it's true everywhere you go. But that number right there should be 9.5 million, not 95 million. But to date, we've collected about 879,000, or 10% of those monies at this point in time. So I'm not concerned. Your spending is mostly fixed. So your spending is around 8.3% on the expenditure side of your budget every month. That equals up to about 25% per quarter, and that's how we do those numbers. So the spending is even. It's rather simple to do in our town. We don't have a utility. That would create cash flow issues, good and bad. We don't have we have large projects going on, but we don't have a large, like we're not spending 30 million a year on projects. A lot of your cash on hand is reserved for payments. It's reserved for capital. So it has a strong restriction to it. The unrestricted part here is about 19 million. So out of that 31 million. And that is it. So I just wanted to make sure on a quarterly basis you folks are getting these reports, trying to make sure you get that information. I've given it to you in written form. It'll be in your weekly reports and that, and of course, it'll be part of, we'll rework it back in so the public can get to it as well. Are there any questions on your financial report as of now?
So for the cash on hand, it sounds like then you're including the reserve funds in that, correct?
Your reserve funds are part of your cash on hand.
Yep.
So all money is fungible. In the year's time, it needs to all be, however, reconciled back to where it needs to be by year's end. A lot of times if someone operates a utility, you have cash throughout the year at a much better percentage than you would if we only collect taxes in the second quarter, or if we're only quarterly getting our state revenues in. We have a greater need, because we do not have constant cash flow, to have more cash on hand to allow for those longer periods of time when you don't have cash, when you don't have cash flow. So 19 million is unrestricted, the balance is restricted. You can use it, you just cannot use it, if that makes sense.
It's been allocated, basically.
It's allocated, it gets allocated by you folks when you accept that audit, and then the second time that you allocate funds and move things around like you did tonight is you move them out of reserve positions into spendable positions at that time. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board? All righty. Thank you very much, Mr. Dadson.
Thanks.
Let's see here. Next up on leadership reports, Chief Dex Wilson.
Good evening. I want to start by thanking the neighborhoods, businesses in the town of Waxhaw for their monetary donations to National Night Out. I also want to thank the citizens for coming out and making National Night Out a success. We had quite a few people there and a lot of kids, so it was very good. I left for Europe a couple of weeks ago, just in time for a cyber attack. So good for me, bad for Brad Cohen. Deputy Chief Cohen and Lieutenant Mulligan were able to keep the PD operating at a very high level. They switched back to the old paper and pen and kept moving forward. So I wanted to take a minute and thank them for all of their hard work. I know that was excruciating, but they kept it running and they did a great job. Also, IT and the rest of the departments, great job keeping the town moving forward and not letting it get to them. But especially PD staff, they didn't miss a beat. So thank you to all of them. Every year from October to December, you might notice police officers with a little bit longer beards, some with black beards, some with gray beards, some white beards, yeah. So we do this.
Silver.
Yeah, some silver, but yeah. We do this for a reason. You might notice female officers with their hair down, which is their little privilege of what they get to do. So during these months, we like to raise money for hometown heroes. This year, we were able to raise $1,430 to go toward hometown heroes. I don't know if, I'm sure you've all heard of hometown heroes and know the great work that they do for the children with cancer. And so coming up on December 13th, we'll be doing a ride going from the Tractor Supply business there in Indian Trail, escorting a bunch of those kids to their Christmas dinner and big event there. So if you're not doing anything December 13th at 4:30 p.m., it's a pretty cool ride, and then they do a big dinner afterward. So we're very proud to be able to give them that money and to go toward a good cause. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the board? Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Todd Matthews.
Good evening again. Just want to go over a few things that's going on in public service. Talking to the town manager, just talking about not spending money. We had to use our CIP money pretty quick this year because it involves leaf season and stuff like that. We were able to buy a new dump truck to help out our 20-year-old dump truck. We got a crack sealer machine that came in. We'll start using that after leaf season. We got a sidewalk grinder that is awesome. We used it yesterday, and you can grind a sidewalk in like 7 minutes. You have no dust, so you don't have to worry about silica getting in the guys' lungs and stuff. It's well needed because we've been doing it on our hands and knees with a little hand grinder. We got our engine in from Texas, and we rebuilt it and put it on a truck. It's running great, so that leaf vac's ready. All the leaf vacs have been serviced and ready to go. The compost facility is, all the leaves have been moved and flipped, so we're ready for the new leaves to come in. And this spring we'll have some good dirt for everybody if they want it. We replaced 90 panels of sidewalk in Keratin Phase 3. From where they're raising up, they were too tall to grind. So that's when me and Matt talked the other week. We noticed, well, it's been a couple months ago that the sidewalks, we're not getting what we're supposed to be getting. So now we got an inspection, and we go out, and instead of 2.5 inches, we're getting 4 inches now of thickness. Sometimes 5 inches, so it's working out great. The retaining wall downtown, they're working on Phase 3 of it. It should be done by this Friday. Leaf season begins November the 3rd and ends January the 29th. And that's about it. Just been busy. We came in under budget on our CLPs too. I'm proud of it, about $33,000.
That's awesome.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
But I've never heard anybody so excited about a sidewalk grinding machine.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me want to come use it.
Really.
Maybe in a couple of weeks, I'm
Take it
going to
for a
get with Matt's going to do a little PowerPoint and show it in action, and the crack sealer machine, how it helps the roads, makes them last longer. And me and Mary and Paula, the cemetery manager, we've been talking about the cemetery, so we don't get with Scott in a couple weeks and bring some ideas back for that too. Because it's getting busy. Not a lot of people, buying for the future. It's getting pretty busy. The columbarium's got 3 sold and 4 people looking, and so it's just for the future. So we get with Scott and see, we might have to add on or something.
Excellent.
That's it. Thanks.
And just to highlight for everybody, LEAF starts November 3rd and goes till January 29th. So 4 days a week. Awesome. I know my trees are getting ready too, so. Miss Dina, come on down.
My turn. So I am extremely appreciative of that crack seal and the sidewalk because they've been practicing at Nesbitt. So we've gotten some extra work there. I was like, so thank you very much. I just want to give you all some highlights on what's coming up all Parks and Rec. We've got senior bingo this Thursday at the Rec Barn. That is like a highlight of their week. We also have tomorrow, Hero is at the Rec Barn too. We're doing board games, so that's really cool. 2 activities coming up. Also, we have coming up Veterans Day on the 11th at 11 at the Wall of Honor, and then tree lighting. The big tree is going to be in the downtown park, but we actually light up all the trees in Waxhaw. So that is a fun event on the 22nd of November. Also that morning is Ginger Snap, so thousands of little people will be in our downtown running that morning, so just be aware. You'll see some road closures that morning as well. I wanted to give a huge shout out to all the volunteers, staff, everybody that was involved with Autumn Treasures over the past weekend. We were holding our fingers, crossing everything for the weather to hold out, and it did. We got packed up, and no significant rain, so that was really cool, and no significant wind, which was, my safety issue. But it was a great event. The staff is going to work on a presentation for y'all next meeting, so we kind of go over everything and some feedback that we got as well. Also, we had our monthly meeting today for the Learning Center. They were painting today. We have floors, and they're going to start working on some of the outside, so the ADA compliant parking. As you know, it's a little challenging up at the parking area for the Learning Center, so that's their next step is going to be working out there. And then also our ADA changing table, adult changing table was placed in, and that is a game changer for a lot of our citizens to be able to utilize this space. Just how appreciative I am for us to be able to invest in that. So that was really awesome. Any questions for me?
Any questions from the board? Yeah, Autumn Treasures look like a resounding success this year, so it was exciting to be there, fun to hang out, and excellent job to you and your team and all the volunteers. It's really exciting to see everybody come together for that.
Definitely a team effort.
Very much so. Thank you. All righty. Any comments or questions from the commissioners?
I just have something for the veterans at the American Legion. They couldn't be here tonight, but they wanted me to help remind everyone that on Saturday, October 18th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., they're having their cornhole tournament, and all proceeds will go to benefit the American Legion's National Be the One campaign. Last year they did a walk. This year they're doing the cornhole tournament. It's for veteran suicide awareness and prevention. There are going to be prizes, and it's $15 for a player entry fee and $10 for the non-player donation, which would be requested. They'll have hot dogs, chips, and soda. So I encourage everyone to head on out to the American Legion Saturday. It's supposed to be a beautiful day.
Dust off your cornhole skills and get ready. Anyone else? All righty. So at this time, I would like to get a motion to go into closed session. So can I get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A5 and NCGS 143-318.11A3? All in favor? We are now in closed session. Thank you. Come on, Barbie. Do we need our attorney and our town manager for this? Barbie, do we need our attorney and our town manager for this? Can I get a motion to resume open session? So moved. All in favor? Aye. Can I get a motion to adjourn? So moved. All in favor? Aye. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a great night.